adding opening balances. For existing businesses that move onto QuickBooks Online and not using the data conversion process as we've seen at Module 1, they will likely have accounts like debtors, creditors, a bank account, for example, with a balance that needs to be added. In this section, we will look at how you can add opening balances into QuickBooks Online. In this example, prior to moving to QuickBooks Online, Damien maintained his accounts using another software program. He has some opening balances that will need to be posted into QuickBooks Online. Now, Natasha has instructed Carol to ensure that the debtor and creditor opening balances are entered as at the 30th of June. Now, some of the reports that were run from the old software to enable opening balances to be brought across could be a trial balance, profit and loss, customer aging detail, supplier aging detail, the last bank reconciliation, and the balance sheet report, of course. Now, you have two options for entering opening balances for the accounts receivable and accounts payable. You have a single journal entry excluding debtors and creditor balances, and the invoices and bills are added separately with their respective dates, such as if there's an invoice outstanding on the 24th of June, let's just say the 30th of June is our cut-off date, you would actually bring in an invoice and you would use the 24th of June 2022 and then process the invoice exactly the same as in the old software. And same counts for bills as well. So if you have any bills in the system, all you need to do is just process the bills, new bill, and process that bill at whatever date you need that was in the previous software. And they will be brought into QuickBooks Online using those particular dates. So you can run the aged receivable and aged payable, and it'll show you 30, 60, 90 days. However, Natasha has instructed Carol to bring all the accounts payable and accounts receivable all on the 30th of June. So we're going to take a look at the journal that is produced from the balance sheets. Let's take a look at that journal that we've brought in, and only the balance sheet accounts have been brought across. And we brought in the journal as of the 30th of June. But if you are commencing part way throughout the year, a trial balance of all accounts should be used to bring in the balance sheet and profit and loss accounts to whatever date you want to bring in the opening balances. I normally do it at either the end of a BAS period or let's just say the 31st of December. It just depends on when your client wants to move over into QuickBooks Online. Now, we are at a journal entry, and a couple of different ways that you can find the journal is by clicking on the back arrow clock, and you can see it comes up with the recent journal entries. Let's take a look at the original journal that we did on the 30th of June 2022, number 1. This particular journal has been brought across via a import button, so you can see that you can import in your journals. The journal imports are found via the cog wheel, then under Tools and under the Import tab. And this is where we imported in the chart of accounts, customers, suppliers, etc. So do have a look at that feature. As you can see, it will save you a lot of time. Let's take a look at this journal entry. This is what we call an adjusting journal entry, so it does have an actual selection at this stage. If we scroll down, this is where we can see the journal, and please note that we can allocate to accounts receivable a customer. Now, these are opening balances, as you can see, as of the 30th of June. And we've even noted invoice 2674. So this is a really great way of bringing in the opening balances of your accounts receivable. And we'll just go down and our accounts payable, as you can see. Just scroll up. Now, as you can see, under the name, this is where you choose the particular customer that belongs with the opening balances. It's that simple, guys. And you can see this is where you will select the customer name. And if we scroll down, we also will select the supplier name. Great way to bring in your opening balances via a journal on the 30th of June. If we scroll up and go across, you can see we've brought in the balances of the East Bank business account, inventory assets, and so forth. So normally, if you are opening up your file on the 1st of July or bringing in the balances as of the 30th of June, you can bring this across with a journal. But let's just say you're commencing partway through the year. A trial balance of all accounts should be used, and this will bring in the balance sheet and profit and loss. Let's just close out of the journal and let's just choose Save and Close. And again, just as a reminder, if you need to set up a new journal, you'll click the New Create button and then under Other, Journal Entry. That's where you'll find it if you need to do a manual entry, just as a reminder. Now, what I do want to show you is behind the scenes. So if we go to the Invoices, Customers, and I just want to take a look at one of the customers was called Jane Manning in our journal. So I'm just going to type up Jane, and there you are, there's Jane. And if we have a look at her transaction list, you can see that is the journal entry that we brought across. You can see that there were 2 entries for Jane, in fact. And please note, you can see that later on we've gone in and we've actually closed that journal down. So we've actually been able to close the journal, and that's why we bring them in individual as per the invoice from the old software. So let's go across and we'll have a look at the supplier. And in this case, it was Carl Jackson. And again, here's his history. There's that journal entry that came across that we imported in. So you can see this way it will bring in your figures to match what you had in your old software. Let's take a look at the balance sheet. So we'll go to Reports. Then we'll choose the balance sheet under Standard Balance Sheet. Now, please note, this balance sheet goes to the 30th of September, but we want to have a look at the balance sheet on the 30th of June 2022, because that is the date that we used to import in all our figures. So here's a handy tip, everyone. Go to Accountant Tools, go to Report Options, and you can default your report dates to a particular date. So let's just say last financial year, takes me to 30th of June 2022. You can also default either accrual or cash. We'll leave it at accrual. Now let me go back to that report, balance sheet, and you can see now we have June 30th. This is really handy for when you're doing end of financial year reporting, end of quarter reporting, or even monthly reporting. So as we scroll down, we can see that this is all the information that we brought in via that journal. So it's a great tip for you guys that you can bring in your accounts receivable balances and your accounts payable balances as well. So now that the opening balances have now been entered into the file in preparation for use, Carol will now finalise the setup of the file by customising some of her forms.